Hi everyone, and I know there is at least one person watching this session, so hey you there. Bro, how are you doing? In this session we are going to talk about access management for Azure services. First let me give my thanks to all the sponsors of the global event. Without these sponsors this event wouldn't be possible. And then let me thank the Smart House Media GmbH for their support, letting me doing this live session from the office, and Telestream for providing the Wirecast software through which I'm streaming this session today. During the entire day you can use Global Azure Lab or Global Azure hashtags to get information about Global Azure Bootcamp. And in this session we will be talking about role-based access control for Azure. Why role-based? First, a little bit about me. I'm Anton Stajkov. I'm Senior Developer and Core Solution Architect and Smart House Media GmbH. You can reach me at designated email here. I'm Microsoft Azure MVP since 2011, which means I already got my 5th award. And you can follow me on Twitter and read my blog for good things around Azure. Let me quickly guide you through the agenda for today. First, I would like to describe you how the access to subscriptions and resources in Azure is managed and secured today. Then I want to talk you a little bit attribute-based access control, what it is and how it can be implemented. Then role-based access control for Azure services. And then we'll see when the role-based access control becomes attribute-based access control. It's really exciting to be part of the Azure today. Without any further hesitation, let us quickly review what is the situation today. From one side we have our Azure subscription, and this Azure subscription can be managed through a web portal or web portals, and then we have service management APIs. How do we authenticate and authorize actions through the portal or through these service management APIs? Believe it or not, or you may didn't know until today, but all the access to Azure resources is protected by Azure Active Directory. Azure Active Directory takes care of authenticating and authorizing access to the web portal and to the service management APIs. And here many of you will say, hey, SOAP, but I use my Microsoft account for accessing my subscription. And you will be right. There is also the Microsoft account, formerly known as LiveID, which we use to create our subscriptions or to log into the portal. And we use the Microsoft account via the Azure Active Directory with federation services. This federation, however, is internal to Microsoft. We don't really have control or broader functionality for this federation, but it is there. And there is one more player in the game which succeeds the Azure Active Directory. It came much earlier than the Azure Active Directory to the picture, and it is the management certificate. With the management certificate, we can authenticate and basically authorize all the actions on the service management API. I hope that now it is a bit clear how you guys authenticate and authorize access to your Azure resources. Now, what it is today, and I call it before because today is already a past, we have a service management API. You can see good description following that shortened link. We have current portal, which is available at managewindowsazure.com. We have PowerShell modules for managing our Azure resources. And of course we have a bunch of other tools and programs that we can manage the access to Azure resources, and we can manage all of our resources. Now, what today is as preview, and I call it after or the future, is the Azure Resource Manager exposed to us via REST API. And if you follow the bit links, you can learn a lot about the Azure Resource Manager. There is the preview portal, and the preview portal uses the resource managers under the hood. And then, of course, we have the PowerShell modules for the Azure Resource Manager. Now let us look what are the differences between the two. With state of today, and with the current authentication and authorization mechanism for the Azure Service Management API and for the current portal, we could only choose between two roles for our Azure subscription. You could be no one, so no access at all to the subscription and all the resources, or you can be God within this subscription, meaning that you are co-administrator and you can do absolutely everything within that subscription without restrictions. So let me quickly show you a demo about how this authentication and authorization system works. First, I'll open one, of course, incognito window, and we'll navigate to the managewindowsazure.com, which is the current portal. Then I will be redirected to the Azure Active Directory, which I said is the sole security guard that sits in front of all our Azure resources. And you can guess this by the login URL. loginmicrosoftonline.com is the URL for the Microsoft Azure Active Directory. And I will enter now my Live ID or Microsoft account. When I enter my Microsoft account, Azure Active Directory will recognize that this actually is Microsoft account, and the login should be handled by live services. At this point, we are using federation between Azure Active Directory and Microsoft Live account. Now, I'm logged into my Azure Management Portal, and I can see a bunch of resources when they load. So here you see quite a handful of resources. There are a couple of virtual machines. I can say I can start this virtual machine. I say yes. Now let me show you where we do control the access to this portal. Because if I want to give someone else access to the Azure subscription, let's say I want my good friend Max to manage the virtual machines for me, I don't want to give him my personal Live ID account, right? So what I can do today in this portal is I can assign a co-administrator from the settings menu item on the administrators tab. You see here there is one service administrator, and that's me. And I can assign someone else, let's say, again not on Stykov, but with another account. I can say him, hey, you are co-administrator for my subscription. That will make this account the gold account into my subscription. So let's log out with this account for a moment and log in with the other account. Use another account. By the way, if you have any questions about this, you can shoot Twitter with the following hashtag, and I will make sure that I answer all the questions within today. And it will be, the hashtag will be role-based access control _ Azure. Okay, if you send a tweet with this tag, I'll make sure I'll answer your question today. Let's go back to the portal. I'm now signing with my Hotmail account, and I can see that I have access to this subscription that I had before. And now I see all the resources. If I go to virtual machines, I see this virtual machine starting. And what I can do here is, after that machine is started, I can actually shut down this machine, or I can choose to create one storage account. Quick create. In West Europe, create storage account. Yes, but my friends only wanted me to take care of virtual machines. But now, since I'm co-administrator, I can do anything within his subscription. I can even delete existing storage accounts. Like I can see hey, let's delete this account. Make me to confirm the account name. Boom. And I'm deleting this storage account. And my friend will be very pissed off me. Now, let me show you what are these certificates. Besides administrators who can have access to this subscription, there are also management certificates. And I see I have here one certificate, Cloud Manager, which is assigned to this subscription. And this is a management certificate, which means that the person who got access to this certificate can do anything with my subscription. And let me show you a quick demo of how this certificate can be used. We can use Azure Management Studio, great Cerebrata product for managing your Azure resources. Now I'm within Azure Management Studio, and in my subscription I see this very same subscription. If I browse here, I see all the storage accounts. If I come to virtual machines, I see all the virtual machines within the account. This virtual machine is running. So I can double click, there are some disks attached to it, I can restart, I can stop that virtual machine. Basically, I have full control over the resources in this subscription, which is the same when I log in to this portal and I'm granted the co-administrator role. Let's leave this for a moment and go back to our presentation. So yes, we just saw that being co-administrator and having access to the management certificate, I can do anything within Azure subscription. So what are the weaknesses of this model? One of the weaknesses is compliance. People do have too high access to resources. For instance, I want someone to just manage virtual machines. I don't want him to take care about media, live streaming media services. I don't want him to touch any storage accounts. I don't want him to touch any SQL servers in my Azure subscription. Another issue is that it's Microsoft account. So all of a sudden, the whole control over all of my Azure resources lies into the security model of Microsoft account. Well, now I do not say that Microsoft account or Live ID does not have strong security model, But I just say that it may not be enough for some compliance regulations. What about if I want to enforce multi-factor authentication for everyone who is accessing my Azure subscription? Now the other issue is that with this model, I cannot restrict access to only given resource or a group of resources. It is also almost impossible to delegate work just because of everything we said until now. And then if you want to think about this certificate, we have to think on how to protect this certificate rollover, and etc. Who gets access to this certificate? Do we understand if someone gets access to this certificate? How do we monitor who uses this certificate to manage Azure resources? It is almost impossible. This model is also not suitable for enterprise and not even for mid-sized businesses. Let's say there is a mid-sized company that has Azure for production and that has Azure for evaluation. But okay, we can separate. For production is one subscription, for evaluation is another subscription. But then we have different teams. We may have a team conducting demo for a customer based on our evaluation subscription. Then we have another team who is evaluating new software on Azure VMs, and they are ready and they just decided to delete all of the VMs just because they didn't care about anyone else needing those VMs. And these are just of the few weaknesses of that model. This is a picture that depicts some of the issues in that model in a medium to large size enterprise. Because the cloud and the Azure Active Directory offers us limitless possibilities to have Azure resources from one side, but from the other side, we can bring business partners to our software as a service that we provide. We can use any software as a service, other cloud services. And if we do not have full control what is going on, we can end up having a max having account within our company domain, then max having accounts into Microsoft accounts or live.com because he needs that to manage Azure resources. And we can have some owner managing Google Apps Engine for business, and he's still part of the business. Or we have Salesforce personnel, and we have to take care about creating those Salesforce accounts, and our users, our business users, they will have to maintain a lot of accounts separately. This is how the world would look like without Azure Active Directory and without role-based access management and attributes access management. So what is the attribute-based access control? There is a special publication from National Institute for Security and Technology in the United States, and they have described the attribute-based access control as a logical access control methodology, where the authorization to perform a set of operations is determined by evaluating attributes associated with the subject, object, request operations, and so on. So what would that mean? That would mean that when I want to execute some operation against Azure resources, an evaluation agent should trigger and evaluate if I have the right permissions to do so. Let's see some basic attributes-based scenarios. Let's say that I'm a big corporation, I have a corporate Twitter account, but I don't want to give that corporate Twitter account to every new intern that comes to our marketing department. I just want to say, okay, everyone who is part of my marketing department, they just have access to the company's Twitter account automatically without knowing it. And they have single sign-on through my Azure Active Directory. Or let's say that I want all administrators in the US to only be able to manage virtual machines in the US, and to not have any access to West Europe resources. Or I would say that all my administrators should have premium licenses for my Azure Active Directory. These are the scenarios for attributes-based access control. So we give some access to some resources based on evaluation of some user attributes. So with role-based access control in Azure Active Directory and Azure Resource Manager, instead of being no one or God, you could be no one, someone, or God. And this is described here in that screenshot, and we will see it very shortly, that I can be God, basically the owner of the subscription, or I can be reader, assigned some permissions just to read, or someone, or I can be no one. I can log in into the management portal and I can do just nothing. How this works, how the role-based access control for Azure works today. As we already said, the authentication and authorization always goes through the Azure Active Directory. This Azure Active Directory delivers a token with some claims to the Azure Resource Manager. It's the portal or the APIs. Then when this person wants to perform some actions, everything is being evaluated against the special rule engine that checks whether this person has the necessary rules. And there is, of course, access inheritance. So if I grant someone permissions to a subscription level, he will get the same permissions across all the resource groups in that subscription and all the resources in that subscription. But if I give someone special permissions for only one particular resource group, that person will only be able to see that resource group and execute the actions that are associated with him for that particular resource group. Of course, if the access permissions are granted on resource group level, he will also be able to manage resources in that resource group. All types of resources, well, it depends on what we have granted to this user, but only within that resource group. And then, of course, we can grant fine permissions to only a specific resource or only a specific VM. Now, let's see a demo with the Azure Preview Portal and how we manage the access control to that Preview Portal. We are again here in our incognito window, and we log in to the new portal, which is portal.azure.com, and we log in with some other accounts that we have. Selecting that this is a Microsoft account, then waiting for the live ID login session. And shortly we will be seeing the new portal, the preview portal for Microsoft Azure services. Now this is my new portal, and here are my resources in that portal. So I can say browse all the resource groups in this portal, and I see a bunch of resource groups. Now there is one caveat, that we cannot create an empty resource group in that portal. But we can use PowerShell to help us doing that. Here is one very, very simple PowerShell script that will help us create one resource group airbag in West Europe, West EU, let's say, in the location West Europe. Let's just create this resource group and see it appear in the portal. Of course, first we have to authenticate with Azure. So we authenticate with our account owner here to create the resource group. After we are authenticated, a new resource group should be created. So yes, now we have a new resource group, which is resource group Pro Best Access Control West Europe. Let's go back to the portal, and if we browse the resource group again, we shall be able to see this new resource group. Now, let's take a look at what this resource group has. Currently, this resource group is empty, doesn't have any resources. So let's grant someone access to this resource group. We can do this from that icon here, the two people, or we can do this from that icon here. Now we can quickly check what roles are available, what roles does Azure already give us. Quite a bunch of roles. If you're wondering what role permissions are, you can click this icon here and you can read more about that role. So now we have a contributor who basically can do everything in that subscription, in that resource group, because we are now granting specific permissions for that resource group. There is the owner of that resource group, and let us now add one contributor for that resource group, and let's say that this guy would be our Demo West account. Yep, demowest@quadely.net. This is an account within our Azure Active Directory. Select OK, and shortly, now success, Demo West was added as contributor to this group. Let's open another private window and let's log into the portal with that Demo West account. We select Demo West at. Now this account is Active Directory account, so I'm directly being prompted to log in here. And I enter my password and I open my portal, Demo West guy portal. And let's see what this guy has. First of all, we see that, sorry, you don't have a subscription, so there is no usage or billing data to show. So far, so good. Let us see what this account has access to. And this is our resource groups. Demo West is contributor assigned to this resource group and should have access to this resource group. Unless the preview features are failing on me today, I shall be able to see a resource group. Yes, I see the resource group. I had to reload the portal. I'm still Demo West. I just had to reload the portal so all the correct claims are sent again. And now I can browse the resource groups and I can see that I see this resource group now. Now while within this resource group, because I'm contributor, I can click add and I can say new Azure storage, which is the fastest service to create, and I say create. And we see that I can create this storage account now. So role-based access control storage. Hopefully no one is using this. I can choose this storage to be locally redundant. Okay. Resource group, we see that I cannot choose anything else. I can only choose existing resource group, and I'm basically locked to this resource group. I can of course not change the subscription because I don't have access to any other subscription. Location of the resource, I can choose, okay, this location to be somewhere else. But this resource will be created within this resource group. And I do not have, with this account, I do not have access to any other resources. For example, if I click on virtual machines, then I don't see any virtual machine, although they are virtual machines in this subscription, and so on. Now, let us try with this account to create a new resource group. We are Demo West. We were only granted access to that particular resource group. And let's say we want to create a new web and mobile, new web app, and say I want to create new resource group here. And say new resource group hello. Oops, new resource group. New service plan. There are no existing service plans, so I have to create. And so on. If I click OK, yeah, I created pricing OK. Basic, then create new resource group. I don't even have the possibility to create it because I don't have permissions to create existing resource group. Or if I hit create, trying to create this new resource group, eventually I will end up failing. Because, yep, error creating web application, and the notification says there was an error processing, please try again later. And if I go to the portal where I'm administrator, I can see notifications at some point of time, but I can browse to the resource group which we just created, and I can see that this resource group has now one storage account. Okay, so far so good. We created one resource group and we granted one particular account only access to only that resource group. But we gave this guy too much power. This guy can create a storage account and he can go and, let's say, manage the keys for this storage account. For example, if he comes here and say, okay, he can see the keys, or these are the access keys for the storage account, and we can see it also on this window here, this storage that we created. Now we can manage the keys. Alright. How about all of the sudden we realize that that guy should actually only have read permissions on all over the resources within that resource group. Let's quickly check this poor guy's permissions and say, okay, actually you're not contributor. I'm sorry, I just don't want you to be contributor. Sorry, I'm really sorry about you. But I want you to be a reader, so you can go and check and collect some statistics, but you cannot manage resources, you cannot create resources, you cannot see the access keys for storage accounts. So again, this is the same user, but now I am assigning him role reader, and again I am assigning him that role only for that resource group. And it is success. Before we go back and check that poor West Europe guy skills, let's do add one more storage account here into that resource group. I'm using storage accounts because it is the service that creates the fastest of all other services. And now new row-based test. Here, here, here. Okay, cool, create. Now this storage account is being created, and while this storage account is being created, I hope that these permissions are already reflected. So go and check. As we said, we need to refresh. Well, point is that this row-based access control is all to the deep of the API. So even though the UI doesn't reflect the change yet, it is already reflected on the API, and if I try to execute anything on the UX, on the portal surface, it will scream on me. So clicking on that storage account, we see now that I cannot delete it. Did you notice that this delete icon was here and already disappeared? And if I click on these keys, I say, oops, you don't have access. So quickly and so easily, we do fine-grained controls over the resources in our Azure account, and we decide what type of access do one user have and what type of access does other user have. Now, let us quickly look what type of resources we have in our resource group, and our resource group is that one. And in this resource group, we have two storage accounts. One storage account, two storage accounts. But because we are only reader for that resource group and the permissions are inherited, we cannot manage either of the accounts. Let's say, okay, for one of the accounts, that user should be able to manage it, but only for one of the accounts. Then we log in with account who has enough permissions and say, okay, we have these two storage accounts, and for that resource group, we have the user that only can read, but let's say the very same user that can only read these resources in that resource group can actually also be a administrator for this account. So we can go to this account, and then we see the very same icon, these two guys here, and we say, okay, we see all of the inherited roles. When they come out from the internet, we'll see them. I wonder when I just click add until while this is loading. Yeah, hello, error loading part. But let's say now I want to assign a role contributor for this storage account. Remember, I'm granting this only for that particular storage account. I'm granting row contributor. If the internet and gods of demo are with me, it's non-selected. Okay, let me try reload the portal and hope that the things will be better on the reload. Remember, it's preview portal, and remember, today is Global Azure Bootcamp Day, so I can guarantee you that all of the Azure services are pretty busy today. So we see the things loading, arrows loading part. Well, okay, it appears that there is some intermediate issue, and I don't want to waste your time more with that issue, but you get the idea. I can grant the very same user access to manage this particular account, while this user also having the possibility to read-only see other resources in that same resource group. I hope that you are not very confused until now. Let's go back again. If you have any questions for what is going on, use the Twitter hashtag row-based access control Azure, and I'll do my best to answer all of your questions. Not only today, but you can keep questions coming. I'll follow this hashtag and I'll do my best to answer all your questions. Now, how does this work? If you remember the previous picture, the cloud was somehow disconnected from our business, from our local Active Directory, and everyone in the cloud was doing everything they wanted, but they had to manage the account separately, and it was extremely hard for our business to follow what is going on, who has access to what, and so on. With the Active Directory sync tool and sync feature, we can synchronize our local business Active Directory with the Azure Active Directory. Once we do that, we will allow our users to use the same identity and even having single sign-on between cloud and on-premises resources. And then we can fine-grant access control to all of the Azure resources and all of the software as a service applications in the cloud using the role-based access control. Now, when we have directory synchronization, we can do something more. And this is the point where role-based access control becomes attribute-based access control. Now, I can create a rules in my when I synchronize my cloud directory with my on-premises directory. I can create a rules, and I can say all users that are in Germany automatically will go into a West Europe Administrator Security Group in Azure. Or all users that are in marketing department will automatically go into Azure Active Directory Security Group Marketing, and so on. And I can assign Azure Active Directory to do rules evaluation for me. And these rule evaluations, so memberships, are recalculated when the rule is first applied, or when the rule changes, or when attribute of a user change, and finally once every day. So if there is some miss during the synchronization of the rules, once every day there is a catch-all process that runs and calculates the memberships for these groups that are dynamically managed. Now, how can we do that? Let's log in to our portal, to our Manage Windows Azure portal. So yeah, fortunately or unfortunately, the Azure Active Directory management is part of the Manage Windows Azure COM portal. And when this portal loads, it will tell us that we are signed with the West Europe guy. Or what? Yep. Now okay, sign out and sign in with account who is administrator for that purpose. So I can sign in with, yeah, this account. Who is administrator in that subscription. Now, as administrator, I can go and manage my Azure Active Directory. Now, you may have not noticed, but I already mentioned, today every Azure subscription has minimum one Active Directory, and every single Office 365 subscription also has Azure Active Directory. So Azure Active Directory is the authentication and authorization guard for Microsoft Online services like Office 365 or Azure. So I have my Cloud Elite Active Directory, and I have enabled my premium. Well, if you didn't enable the premium, once you come here to license, you will see a notice, hey, you don't have premium, do you want to try it? So I have enabled a trial for 90 days trial for my Azure Active Directory, and I see that my subscription expires on May 21st, which is enough for the purposes which I'm doing here. First thing is that I have configured my custom domain to be part of my, to be registered with my Azure Active Directory. Then I also have integrated this domain into my on-premises Active Directory, and I can see that my synchronization was run 1 hour ago. It's activated, and I have one domain verified for synchronization. This means that now I'm synchronizing users from my on-premises Active Directory to my cloud directory. And if I click on Configure tab, I see something like Delegated Group Management. I need to enable this feature in order to say Azure Active Directory, hey, I want you to manage your security group's memberships for me, and I'll give you the rules. Now, once this feature is enabled, we can go to groups, and we can say, hey, I already have one West EU admins, let's create one new group, and we say this new group is role-based access control West. I create this new group, and once this new group is created, role-based access control West, once this group is created, yeah, it's still being configured, trying it members in a few minutes, so it takes some time for Azure Active Directory to configure the group, but once the group is really configured, I can go and configure, and I can say enable dynamic membership for this role. And now I can say here, yes, okay, all memberships will be deleted and new will be created based on the rules that I create. And I can say very simple rule, okay, this group is role-based West, so I can say when country equals to Germany, when country equals to Germany, please assign that user into that security group. I click Save. Successfully saved. Now if I come here to members, I don't see any member, and I just don't touch it anymore. let's see the users and let's see the properties for that demo West user. So let's say that demo West user, you see here I cannot edit any properties of the users. And this is because I have enabled directory synchronization and all the properties are managed by my own premises Active Directory. If I click on work info, I can see that this user lives on Kurfürsten Dam, but he lives in Bulgaria. Oh, wow. Well, this is not really Germany, but it's fine because we want to demonstrate how the attribute-based access control rules, or here is the attribute-based group membership. So remember that user, demo West, and let us open a remote desktop to our Azure Active Directory, our local Active Directory, and that would be, yes, here, this is our domain. Now, once I log in successfully to this domain, I can click here on the users. This is my demo West user. I can see properties, and on address I see that here really stays Bulgaria. Now let's change this to Germany. Click apply and then OK. Well, this directory synchronization doesn't run constantly, and because I don't want to wait some timeout to happen, I can forcibly make synchronization happen, and this is by using the PowerShell commandlets for the DIRSync tool. I can execute the start online coexistence sync command. It will behind the scenes start the synchronization, trigger the synchronization, and it usually takes a couple of minutes until we see that user here being member living in Germany and not in Bulgaria. So let's try refresh the portal and see if the synchronization was successful. Now it's still Bulgaria, so it really takes a couple of minutes before the synchronization is reflected here. We can check that sync was run less than 1 hour ago, but let's check our group. You see, our group all of a sudden already has this member. We just proved that based on users' attributes, Azure automatically manages memberships, group memberships for us. Now what we can do with this is that we can go back to the preview portal, and there, for our resource group, instead of managing single user, and of course if this whole service for user management is not failing on me. So you see here we have explicitly added this user as a reader. Let's just remove it and say, okay, actually readers here, please, readers will be all the users who are members of a security group, which was something with role-based access control. And this is my role-based access control West security group of Azure Active Directory. So this is a security group, this is not particular user. So now I say, hey, all members of this group are now reader for this resource. And now, with only controlling user attributes in my local Active Directory, I manage access to resources in my Azure subscription. Isn't that powerful? With that, I would like to thank you, that you were with me today in this session. I really hope you enjoyed it. I really hope that at least a couple of you will go and test immediately the role-based access control, because at least for me, it is something awesome in Azure. And again, don't forget, it is whole day of Global Azure Bootcamp. You can join a location near you. If you are already late, don't worry, just find your location and join it. Or if you want to watch online, just follow one of the Twitter hashtags. And yes, once again, thank you for being part of this event. Thank you.